The Three Spinning Fairies. There was once upon a time a girl who was lazy and hated work, and nothing her mother could say would induce her to spin. At last the mother grew angry, and, losing all patience with her, gave her a beating. At this the girl began to cry so loudly that the queen, who was driving past at the time, heard her cries and stopped. Ooh. She went into the house and asked the mother why she was beating her daughter like that. Her screams, she said, can be heard outside in the street. The mother was ashamed to confess the truth about her daughter's laziness, and so she answered, I cannot get her to leave off spinning. She is forever at her wheel, and I am too poor to keep on buying her fresh flax. That's the opposite of what the... Okay. So she's lying to the queen? That's not... Oh, okay, so she was too ashamed, so she lied the exact opposite. That's like... Duh. Why? Is that all? Said the queen. There is nothing I like so much as the sound of spinning. I am never happier than when I can hear the humming of the wheels. Let me have your daughter, and I will take her home with me to the castle. I have plenty of flax, and she can go on spinning there to her heart's content. Does the mom sell her? Because that would be the kind of thing that happens in these fairy tales. The mother was heartily pleased at this proposal, and so the queen left, taking the girl with her. On their arrival at the castle, she took her upstairs and showed her three rooms filled from floor to ceiling with the most beautiful flax. And the daughter didn't clarify any of this? Spin me all this, said the queen, and when it is finished, you shall have my eldest son for your husband. Your poverty is a matter of no consequence to me, for I consider that your unremitting industry is an all-sufficient dowry. Okay, I'm on board. She made herself really valuable. At least the queen thinks she's really valuable by being like, she supplied, so technically by supplying her all this stuff and encouraging her hobby, the queen's like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, technically she'd become like princess, and it's her eldest son, so she'd become like heir to the queenship of the throne kind of thing. So like, who cares about a dowry at that point? That's not how dowries even work. The girl dared not say anything, but she inwardly trembled with fear, for she knew that she could never spin all that flax, even if she were to sit at her spinning wheel from morning till night for 300 years. As soon as she was alone, she began to weep, and she sat like that for 3 days without doing a stroke of work. When the queen came again on the 3rd day, she was surprised to find that the flax had not been touched. The girl excused herself by saying that she had felt so lonely and homesick that she had not been able to begin her spinning. The queen was satisfied with this excuse, but as she was leaving, she said, Tomorrow, mind, I shall expect you to begin your work. Alone once more, the girl was at her wit's end to know what to do. Does she even know how to spin, really? And in her distress of mind went and looked out of the window. There she saw 3 funny-looking women coming towards her. One had a big flat foot, another had a large underlip that hung over her chin, and the third had a very broad thumb. Okay? Oh, I know. Oh, I get it. Okay. I won't spoil it. There she saw the 3 funny-looking women. They stood under the window and, looking up, they asked the girl what was the matter. She told them her trouble, and they offered to help her. If you will invite us to your wedding, they said, and will not be ashamed of us, but will introduce us as your cousins and let us sit at your table, we will soon spin all that flax for you. Works for me. That I will gladly promise, said the girl, if you will but come in and begin working for me at once. So she let in the 3 women, and what queer little figures they looked. She cleared a space for them in the first room, and they all sat down and began spinning. The first drew out the thread and turned the wheel, and the second moistened the thread. So the one turning the wheel is the one with the big foot. The one moistening the thread is the one with the lip. And the third twisted it. So that's the one with the thumb. The third twisted it, striking with her fingers on the table. And every time she did this, a beautiful skein of the finest spun yarn fell on the ground. Okay, wow. So magic. Whenever the queen came, the girl hid the 3 women and then showed her skein upon skein of, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, of spun yarn, till the queen did not know how to find words enough to praise her. As soon as the first room was empty, the spinners went on to the second, and finally they went on to the third, which, like the others, was very quickly cleared of the flax. Then the 3 women took leave of the girl, saying to her as they parted, "Do not forget the promise you made us, for it will bring you good fortune." I don't know about the good fortune, but I mean, keep your promise. When the queen was shown the empty rooms and the great piles of yarn, she began at once to make preparations for the wedding. The bridegroom was delighted to think he should have such a clever and industrious wife, and showered his praises upon her. "I have 3 cousins," said the girl, "and they have shown me such great kindness in the past that I should not like to forget them, now that I am happy and prosperous. Will you give me permission to invite them to the wedding and allow them to sit at our table?" The queen and the bridegroom both willingly consented to this request. The wedding feast was beginning when in walked the 3 women, attired in the most wonderful dresses. The bride greeted them and said, "Welcome, dear cousins." But the bridegroom could not help exclaiming, "How came you to have such ugly friends?" Okay. Never insult your girlfriend's friends. You're dating you're dating a almost like a group. You piss off your girlfriend's friends, she's going to start having problems with you too. Your relationship's not going to last a whole long time if you do that sort of thing. Just don't. Just please don't. You will be the worse for it. So he insults them. Then he went up to the first and asked her what had given her such a broad foot. "Turning the wheel," she answered. Then he went to the second and asked what had caused her to have such a large lip. "Moistening the thread," she answered. Then he went to the third and asked what made her thumb so broad. "Twisting the thread," she answered. "Then," cried the prince, horrified at these answers, "my beautiful wife shall never go near a spinning wheel again as long as she lives." And so henceforth she was rid of the hated task of spinning. Okay. What happened to her mother? Because, she's the mom of the queen, and she's not a very good person.